Overtime heroics in Raleigh, and the Eastern Conference Final is all even. Welcome to NHL Wraparound Stanley Cupdate for Sunday, May 24th, 2026. Vic and Neil with you on this Memorial Day weekend in the U.S. So much of Stanley Cup hockey, Neil, is completely unpredictable. But on Saturday, down one game, I think we had a pretty good idea of what to expect from the Carolina Hurricanes in terms of their execution, their pace, and their drive to even this series at one apiece. And boy, did they come through in a big way.
Well, they did, and they got out of the doldrums that they were in for game one after that 11-day layoff. The only question mark I thought going into game two in Raleigh was, would Freddie Andersen be up to the task? Would he play well in this game? He has had a record of third-round failures, so he might have been the one thing. But I had no doubt the team would be up for this game after the way they played in game one.
I think the things that we were looking for was the discipline from Carolina, not chasing Montreal around, and whether or not, from the Canadiens' perspective, how they would attack. And frankly, they didn't attack much during the course of this game. It was a matter of them just trying to be more opportunistic. So realistically, this game played out, I think, exactly the way we thought it was going to.
It did, although less scoring than I thought there was going to be. Only 3 goal scorers in 5 goals. Josh Anderson surprising everyone with 2 goals for the Montreal Canadiens, which he's not normally a big goal scorer. And then Nikolai Ehlers had a fantastic game for the Carolina Hurricanes. And Robinson, as we're going to talk about right now, got that first goal to give the Hurricanes the 1-0 lead.
So let's get this out of the gate. The pace was quick early. And as you mentioned, it was Jankowski to William Carrier. And he fans on a shot, but Robinson, as you had said, a one-handed redirect with the heel of his stick at 2:33. Once again, for the second straight game, a fast start for the Hurricanes.
And their first shot on goal, and it wasn't any fault of the goaltender, Dobish. He moved with the puck that was fanned on, and then it was redirected, a slow-moving trickle that went into the net while Dobish was sitting on his rear end on the other side of the net, and Carolina's up 1-0.
One thing that we never see with the Canadiens, though, they don't panic. A Taylor Hall clear up the left wing boards was picked off by Caden Gooley. He gets it to Philip Deneau. And it's Anderson with a little chip in off Nikishin's skate at 11-11 to tie the game at 1. And same as the first shot on goal for the Hurricanes goes in, same true with the Canadiens. But
the shots were not 1-1. I think the shots at this point were 5-1 for the Hurricanes. Yeah. And so the Hurricanes had much of the offense, and we're going to see that pattern continue throughout the game.
Jordan Staal had probably the best shot for the remainder of the first period, hitting a goal post with 8:05 left. Shots on goal, 7-2 for Carolina, and it was indicative of the play.
It sure was, and that's pretty tough sledding when you're on the road and you go into another building and all you can muster is 2 shots. One of them happened to go in, luckily, so they're 1 for 2 on goal scoring so far.
I thought Andrei Svechnikov may have had his most visible game for the Hurricanes in the entire playoff. He didn't make the score sheet, but his impact all over the ice was significant. He hit a crossbar from the far boards late in the second period. And then soon after that, it's Jordan Martinook to Nikolai Ehlers coming through center ice. He weaves through Cole Caulfield and Lane Hudson with a little under 3 minutes left in the second period to put Carolina ahead.
That was just an amazing goal. He went down, actually skated backwards for a split second to get through them, and then put the puck into the net. If you haven't seen it, go back and go to NHL.com and watch that goal because it's a highlight reel goal.
Svechnikov, again visible, 1:45 left in the second period, and Dobish had to make a good blocker save on him. And then at the other end of the ice, closing seconds, Nick Suzuki gets in alone, and it's Svechnikov with a really strong back check.
just lifted his stick enough that he lost control and couldn't get a shot away. And you had to watch it on the replay to realize that Svechnikov had reached in and gotten his stick like that. Fantastic work ethic by Svechnikov on that one.
Canes were a little bit unhappy with the officiating at the end of the second period because Noah Dobson had a high stick on Carrier that was missed by the officials. And then what'd you think of the Alexander Texier little jab at the groin of AndreMiller that Eddie Olczyk and the entire crew from TNT were calling for a major penalty, and it ended up as a slash. And we all know that was not a slash.
That was a spear. He speared him in the balls. I mean, that's what he did. And he got off with a slashing penalty. And I don't understand it. Nobody on the broadcast understood it. That's textbook 5 minutes for spearing. I think even Gretz said that in between periods. I don't understand it, but Montreal gets 2 breaks at the end of that period.
On a play like that, and of course, we're not AndreMiller. We don't know if there was any selling of this at all, because he did get up and was certainly able to resume. But as former players, both of us, you want a considerably higher level than me, that when you get hit there, it doesn't take a lot for it to hurt. And there's also the shock factor when you get hit there as well.
Everybody's selling everything during the playoffs. I think every single thing you see out there is a sell job. And there's no doubt in my mind that AndreMiller overstated this, that it didn't hurt him as much as it looked like it might have on TV. But still, a spear is a spear. You do that, that's textbook spearing. Texier should have got 5 minutes in a game.
You don't think the selling that we're seeing across the playoffs now has anything to do with soccer's World Cup about to get underway?
Well, no, because you're going to see selling at a whole different level when you see soccer players. I mean, that is a whole different level. They have refined that art. Hockey isn't even close yet.
Shots were 8-3 in the second period for Carolina, 15-5 for the game. And early in the third, Dovish had to come up big on Seth Jarvis twice. One at the side of the net, and then a backhander from the slide. And then Jarvis had another chance to make it 3-1 and hit the side of the net. That was a play that initially we thought Dovish made this phenomenal save. But in fact, it hit the side of the net and missed the goal by about a foot.
Yeah, but Jarvis was on his game this night. He was in there flying. And again, Dovish is the reason in my mind why this ended up in overtime. Because Montreal's got 2 shots in the first, 3 shots in the second. Can you imagine? 5 shots by the end of the second period. Carolina's got 15. Dovish, to me, gave his team a chance.
The chances did start to increase a little bit for the Canadiens. Jake Evans took a shot that was deflected by Miller, and Freddie Anderson had to make a strong stop. But then Miller gets faked out by Josh Anderson, and he converts on a scramble with 7:09 left in regulation to tie the game at 2. And the ironic thing here was at the other end of the ice, right before this goal, the Canadiens were actually asking for a stoppage in play because they thought the puck went into the netting.
Yeah, the one player, I think it was Gouli, pointed up and said the puck hit the netting. The thing that bothered me about this goal that Anderson got was, why didn't somebody knock him down? He was standing there, and everybody was just puck watching, grabbing, going for the puck. Nobody took the body. And Josh Anderson, who's a big man, was able to find it there in the crease and poke it underneath Anderson.
He's in the 6th year of a 7-year contract with Montreal, and he's finally really playing at the level that I thought he was going to play with from the moment that he got to the Canadiens. And not long after that, Anderson has to make a good save on Alex Newhook with 4:48 left, but we go to overtime. Shots are 24-12, and yet we're still even. Neil, can we say at this point that with Muhammad Ali facing George Foreman, the term rope-a-dope seems to come to mind here?
Absolutely. And rope-a-dope means you just let them pound at you as much as you want and then try to hit them quickly with a split-second shot. And that's, of course, what Ollie used to do. And that's what I think Montreal's game plan subconsciously was.
But they get bitten by the long change in the overtime at the 3:29 mark. The defensive pair of Mike Matheson, who I think has been terrific in these playoffs, and Noah Dobson get beat. It's Matheson who actually starts to drift towards the bench, and Dobson gets his feet tangled for just a split second, and that enabled Jalen Chatfield pass to get one touch. Jankowski to Ehlers, second goal of the game, overtime winner, and the series is tied.
That's right. And now we move on back to La Belle Province and Montreal, where the crowd will be insane. They haven't seen a conference championship game in a long time in Montreal. Knowing that the teams are 1-1 will even add to their fever. It's really important that the Carolina Hurricanes obviously at least get another split so that they can go home with a 2 out of 3, with 2 of them being in Raleigh.
Canadiens actually hosted back when we were coming out of COVID in 2021, but that was in front of only 3,000 fans that were actually allowed in the Bell Center.
Right, and that wasn't really what we're talking about here. That was a we'll do the best we can type of times in the NHL.
What impressed me about Carolina throughout this game, Neil, was how much they stayed on point, that they didn't play the scoreboard, which, of course, was close the entire night. They just stayed on their game. The end of the game, 26-12 in shots, 68-38 in attempts. You know how I feel about hits. And it was 46-16. But taking the number out of it, when you look at hits and one team has a decided advantage, it's for 2 reasons. If you're on the defensive side, you're chasing the team that's attacking you. But in Carolina's case, they were truly assertive from opening puck drop until the end of the game.
I think they were mad about what happened in game 1, that they didn't play well. You know, guys like Jacob Slavin saying, I cost our team the game, taking it on himself. I think they all did that. And I got to tell you, I think Carolina will play even better in game 3 in Montreal. I think Montreal might get a little bit of the heebie-jeebies going home and playing in front of their fans. Carolina, if they stay like they did in this last game, boy, watch out.
They're not going to alter one bit, and I think now that they've got their footing in this series, it is now up to Montreal to figure out a way. Okay, we have seen what Carolina is all about, and now it is going to be time to make those adjustments.
I think game 1 was a total aberration. I think that Carolina proved that last night. Even though it was an overtime 3-2 win, I think they proved that they can dominate a game against Montreal. They dominated last night's game. And I think Montreal's got to figure out a way to push back a little bit. I don't think you can win a playoff game, or not win too many of them anyway, when you only have 5 shots through the first 2 periods. Now, I say that remembering that in game 7s against Tampa and against Buffalo, they were outplayed in both of those games and still won and eliminated the other team. So we're not to game 7 yet, but Montreal's going to have a better offensive push in game 3 than they certainly had in game 2.
You can rope a dope for only so long.
Absolutely, and then you get knocked out.
Game 3, Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern on TNT. In the West on Sunday, it will be Game 3 between the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, with Vegas leading 2-0. This will be at 8 o'clock on ESPN. And the big questions that are out here, and let's take both sides of the coin for Colorado. Makar plays, Makar doesn't play.
If he plays, I think Colorado will win this game. If he doesn't play, I still think Colorado is going to make a huge push to win this game. They have to. They can't go down 3-0. I think either way, Colorado wins game 3.
I think if he does play and you're Vegas, you know he's hurt. He's not coming back 100% healthy by any stretch, whether it's his shoulder or somewhere else in the upper body. If he plays, Vegas is getting a piece of him at every turn. And if they're doing that, doesn't human nature say that you may get rid of the puck a little bit quicker than you normally would, and maybe that somewhat neutralizes his effectiveness?
Yeah, but Makar's is like Hudson and Quinn Hughes and these guys. They're like a fly in the room. They're really hard to hit. Makar's not an easy guy to make body contact on. So if you can hit him once or twice, you're doing a good job. You're not going to be able to do to him what you may be able to do to McNabb, let's say, the Vegas defenseman, who's a bigger body, not got all the moves that Makar has. Makar's a slight, quick, agile guy, and I don't think they'll be able to hit him very much, but they'll be trying to.
Flip side of the coin, Mark Stone still has not played since Game 3 of the series against Anaheim, and you've got a 2-0 lead. You've actually got a little bit of wiggle room to play with here. So if you're George McPhee, Kelly McCrimmon, John Tortorella, are you bringing him back now, or do you try to get 2 more days of rest while you still have home ice advantage and wait to bring him back for Game 4 if he's even ready then?
I think it's all about Mark Stone and the doctor and the trainer. And when he's ready to go, you're not going to be able to keep him out of the lineup if he can play and wants to play. He's going to play. The manager, and certainly not the president of the team, George, they're not going to be able to stop that or say, well, let's be strategic about when he comes back. If he's still hurt, they can be strategic and say, well, you better come back even though you're a little hurt because we're in trouble. But make no mistake about this comparison. Mark Stone is not Cale Makar. Cale Makar is a reigning Norris Trophy winner, probably the Norris Trophy winner again this year. He is a absolute superstar. Mark Stone is a great captain and a threat when he's out there. But Vegas not having Stone is not like Colorado not having Makar.
It's heart and soul and a catalyst. That easy.
Yeah.
Our website is NHLWraparound.com, and Neil and I will be back with you on Monday to recap this game between the Avalanche and the Golden Knights. But also out today, our 100th NHL Wraparound episode, and Neil and I spoke on Thursday with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. And I find it somewhat ironic that we are releasing this episode on the 46th anniversary of the New York Islanders' first Stanley Cup in 1980, and Commissioner Bettman told us that he was in attendance that game.
And we had such a great show with the guys that played in that game, a few of them. Bobby Nystrom's tremendous tip goal past Pete Peters that won the Islanders their first ever Stanley Cup on an afternoon game at Nassau Coliseum. But listen to our show with Gary Bettman. It's one of our best, if not our best, and it was a lot of fun to do.
I think every show is our best.
Well, this is our best until the next one comes out.
And that will be on Monday. So enjoy Colorado and Vegas this evening, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow.